Hey everybody, it's Rob Tiffany with your IoT Minute. Today I'm going to talk about an alphabet soup of different technologies that have come along over the years that I've been involved in, and I've noticed some similarities. The alphabet soup includes, of course, IoT, because that's the subject of the show, but also things like MAG, MDM, MEAP, which is just a whole bunch of weird stuff. And how are they all related? Because, when you work with a bunch of things, you might start to see similar patterns approach the surface and realize, wow, these things have a lot in common, and maybe I can reuse these. So the first one I'll talk about, I'll start with IoT. Like lots of you over the course of your career, you've either worked on all kinds of random things in your life, or maybe there's some big ones that have stood out that you've done multiple times. For me, IoT was one of those. My first experience with IoT is in the mid-90s with a product we called VenLink with a company called Real Time Data, connecting vending machines, getting internet information, from that, doing it over wireless to find out about them. IoT, happened for me again at Microsoft with Azure IoT a few years ago. And then, of course, these days with Hitachi, with Lumada Industrial IoT. Then there's MDM, mobile device management. I first, 4 times I've been involved in MDM products. So these are the things that manage mobile devices, your smartphones, tablets, things like that. When you're with a company, you may have heard of the term BYOD, bring your own device. People want to use their smartphone at the office, but the company wants to make sure they're secure. They want to push enterprise apps to them, things like that. So I did my first MDM technology. My partner, Darren Flatt, we created a technology called Net Perceptor all the way back in 2003. We had an MDM product, that did that kind of stuff. Then when I was at Microsoft, I created the first internal MDM product for Microsoft. It was called Mobile Provisioner. It was used in the Windows Mobile days. Then a few years after that, involved with another product called System Center Mobile Device Manager that was launched by Microsoft, probably I think around 2008. Then again, there's a product called Intune, which is the current Microsoft MDM product, or EMM, or actually it does a whole lot more than that these days. Then the last thing I want to talk about is these other terms, MEAP, MAG, things like that. This is about apps and moving data around in the enterprise. So a long time ago, there was something called multi-channel access gateway, which then evolved into something called mobile enterprise application platform. I know this is a mouthful. The gist of this kind of deal was for enterprises, with the rise of mobile devices, the mobile revolution with the workforce, a CIO said, hey, I need to get all the data in all my back-end systems out to any of my employees or customers on any device. That was the idea. And so that was brought to life by MAG and MEAP. And so working in all three, I'd say IoT, MDM, and kind of MEAP heavily, and being involved in those, I've noticed a lot of similarities, which are important because there's a lot of ways you can reuse stuff. At a 30,000 foot level, what's IoT? I'm connecting machines, things, and getting performance, health information about them and sending them somewhere else, to a server, to a cloud, wherever, to look at that data, to analyze it, to make better decisions, to improve performance, save money, make money, optimize routes if it's vending machines, things like that. And then also with IoT, I need to push data down to a device, which is, command and control to change the behavior, update things like that. I always noticed that there was so much similarity between that and my time doing mobile device management, EMM stuff, since I've been involved in 4 of those types of products. Same kind of thing, except it's a smartphone instead of just another kind of machine. You've got some kind of agent on a device. It's an intelligent device, and you're pulling health, performance, whatever information, statistics about that device off that, sending it over wireless or wired, some kind of network, back to some kind of server, cloud thing, whatever, to find out information about it. So in this case with MDM, I'm finding out about stats of all these mobile devices, their health, how are they being used, their security problems, how much memory is being used, all what apps are installed, and then pushing back to the device, kind of like command and control on IoT. But what do? We push configuration updates to devices to provision them, like for provision them for email, provision security certificates, or to push apps. And so I was heavily involved in that. And boy, there's a whole lot of similarities between IoT and MDM. A thing, an agent, sending data over some kind of network, doing something with that information once you have it, pushing things back to it. Then MEAP, also, mostly around mobile devices and tablets, things like that, but to empower employees, and customers too, with devices and apps and things like that, except it's with data. Connecting a device, going through some backend server over a network, and then reaching out and connecting to all kinds of backend systems that a company may have, ERP, CRM, different databases, clouds, REST services. Again, the thinking, connect any device to any backend system, empower your mobile workforce, empower your customers. We've seen how the mobile revolution is helping customers. Think of airline apps giving you just-in-time information about what's going on with your airline when you're taking off or things like that. IoT, a big thing in there is also that same kind of enterprise integration, connecting to all those back-end systems. You don't want to just pull that data back from all your machines and have them in a silo. What makes them bring them to life is either blending data from all your enterprise systems or pushing data to those systems that are relevant to you. Anyway, no shortage of similarities and no shortage of ways to do that. There's obviously, it's an alphabet soup and there's a zillion ways to skin this cat, as you can imagine, but there's also similar ways to do it. When you think about going back to the multi-channel access gateway MEAP stuff to get data to any device, the idea was making sure you were using protocols that would go through any firewall, go through any proxy, go over the internet to any device. That sounds a whole lot like HTTP and formats like JSON or XML or things like that, things that work with any device. That was a critical thing to get that working. And then having all those connectors, adapters, to connect to any backend system. Well, those same things can apply with IoT. I need to connect to all my machines, and you can use HTTP and things like that to do that and to get them all routed around the internet. And yeah, of course, other protocols are used like MQTT and AMQP, and there are lots of other ones at the edge level in the industrial world. There's too many to count. But then getting those back, getting them out using adapters to connect to enterprise systems, it's still the same kind of thing. The great deal is there's a lot of ways to combine and aggregate these technologies to kill a whole lot of birds with one stone, which might be valuable to you when you think about it. Instead of thinking of these things as siloed, think about an Uber umbrella term like digital transformation. I know that sometimes sounds kind of ambiguous. Being able to not just empower insights from machines with IoT, but to empower employees and the workforce with mobile, and then protect those things, like you do with MDM. All those things are related. MDM might be using things like OMADM, even though in the early days it used whatever could work. Like when I first did my MDM company, we didn't have OMADM to connect and to push, so we used HTTP then too. Anyway, tons of similarities, lots of stuff to ponder. It's not just for fun to sit here and talk about these similarities. There's a lot of value that can be brought to bear in an overall encompassing digital transformation discussion with big companies. So anyway, kind of fun, a lot of similarities. It's been a fun road. Anyway, thanks for bearing with me with this alphabet soup of things. I'm out.